And welcome to another edition of Working for Charities. I'm Trip Mitchell, and honored to be co-hosted, I should say, by two guys who've done more for charities in this town in the last 25 years than a vast majority. Randall Carlisle, former newsman, and John Absey.
He's done a heck of a lot more than I have, but...
Well, Randall, in your career as a newsman, you have been honored to...
Oh, I've emceed a lot of fundraising galas and stuff like that, but I've never done what he did as the Bear, because...
All the same.
Yeah, well, you were beloved and you went to a ton of places where everybody
How many events would you do a year as the Bear?
250 to 300.
Okay, I'm going to do the math. Let's say 300 divided by 365.
Yeah, well...
That's about 90% of the days you're out there doing something.
Well, that doesn't mention the jazz games.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Hence why my wife was on. My middle daughter one day said, "Mom, does Dad still live here?"
Ooh, no, you got to watch the Bear on TV, and then you'll see what your dad's doing.
And I learned something in our last show that you used to ride around, and I had moved from Salt Lake in '88 down to Vegas and didn't come back till we bought the station here 6 years ago, and I didn't realize you rode around on a motorcycle in the Bear outfit.
Yeah.
So you probably were seen.
Oh, that is okay. Yes, keep going.
You're probably seen by thousands of people a day.
Yeah, you know what? But it was dangerous. It was.
It does attract attention, seeing the Bear driving by on a cycle.
Felt very comfortable on it. It was the other people. I to this day know that I caused 3 pretty good accidents, because I remember sitting at a stoplight and I'm waiting to go down State Street, and a car was coming across, and he was driving, but his girlfriend jumped across him and was like, Bear, waving, and he couldn't see and just hammered that butt into the car. And then another time I was driving down the road, and there were 2 cars. I remember it was a Jeep and another car. Same thing. She jumped across to say hi, and it made him swerve, and I hit my brakes, and I backed off, and he slammed into the other car. But I mean, otherwise I would have been in the middle of that. But this is the coolest thing the segue that you just brought in, is the reason I was riding motorcycles back then is because of Burke.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. He
didn't even know that was a cool seg into that.
He didn't, and that's why when you said that, I got excited. I was like, "Oh my Lord!"
When you have talent on loan from God, as Rush Limbaugh would say, this stuff happens. So tell us about Burke.
No, Burke's amazing. I've known Burke my whole time here, and he approached us about having a motorcycle, and it was called Classic Motorcycles back then, and which I got another story about that bike, because I actually sent you the pictures. That bike. So his first bike he made is still around, and I actually got to see it over at one of the Harley stores, and it was amazing to see it, that it's still in existence, that it hasn't been trashed or broken. The paint was still great.
Wow!
But he got me started on it, and that's where it all started, was with Burke, and now years later he's running Adventures Anonymous.
Adventures Anonymous.
Yep.
AA. Oh, something a little different.
So tell us about Adventures Anonymous.
Well, like John said...
Can you talk about it, or does it have to be anonymous? Yeah. You shouldn't be on the show if you can't talk about it.
We can talk about it.
Okay.
We can talk about it. Some of the participants that come into the program can choose to discuss or not discuss what we do with them, what they trust us to help them with. But just to conclude with what John said, I did. I met John 25 years ago. I was doing these really awesome, unique, custom, high-end motorcycles.
You were building them?
Building custom bikes. Yeah, that was back in my wild days.
Before you were the Bolo.
That's right. Riding lots of motorcycles and other things. But John and I met. I wanted to get a presence with the Utah Jazz. I wanted to affiliate my company with the Utah Jazz. I thought that would be a great marketing technique. John and I formed this incredible partnership. We built the Bear bike. It was called the Bear bike, and the rest is history. We've been friends for a lot of years, and we certainly got made the right choice being affiliated with John. It was a great, successful business.
And the Bear bike was the bike he would ride in the arena.
That's correct.
And that got a lot of miles.
Yeah. That was the first Bear bike. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And that was probably unique in the NBA.
Oh, it was the only one?
Absolutely, yeah.
There was nobody else.
Really?
Back then, 25 years ago, nobody else had bikes.
And did David Stern call down from on high and say, "What the heck are you guys doing in Utah?"
No, they never did. All I know is that a couple years after, the Phoenix Gorilla got one, and it started trickling, and other guys started getting them. And then teams were like, what the hell are we doing?
I remember I took it to one of your mascot conventions, and they went crazy, all the other teams.
It's just something that had never been done. And
so we're gonna get some video, and we'll show you that right now of John as the bear riding in the arena, and that's fantastic. I mean, what
was so unique about the cycle? I mean, what was different about that you could ride it in the arena as opposed to just a regular street bike?
Well, maybe John, do you want me to answer, or do you want to? It was totally, completely customized, all about John, all about the bear, the logos and the images. And even his size and the look and the feel that he wanted.
So a big seat for his big butt.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just curious.
Thanks, Randall.
Yeah.
It just was a total one-off. There was never has been, never will be another motorcycle even close to that.
And some of the stunts, tell us about some of the stunts you used to pull on that thing.
Oh no, I mean it just because, and it took me time. It wasn't on his, but over time I was able to do like seat stands, and I could do like burnouts, and I'd ride with my feet on the handlebars. It was stuff that people shouldn't do, but it was stuff.
Randall, do you want to do it, or do you want me to?
Yeah, you do it.
Don't try this at home, those of you watching here.
Exactly.
And John is a trained gymnast. That's how he got to do all the amazing things as the bear.
Actually, I'm not a gymnast.
You're not?
No, you didn't know that.
But by the way, I've had some complaints that you've gotten a little out of shape. When viewers turn on the show and see Randall and I kind of buffed like we are.
Right.
Bulging muscles.
I'm working on it.
Okay. So you're not a gymnast?
I was a farm boy from Minnesota.
How did you get so coordinated?
I was just really
baling hay.
I really did. Seriously, I was just really active on the farm, and I'd climb stuff all the time. But when I learned everything when I moved out here with Paul Hunt's Gymnastics. I called him up and said, "Can you teach me?" So I went to Paul Hunt's.
Teach me how not to kill myself.
Wow, and it's amazing. And so getting back to the idea of and what are some of the custom things you have to do riding a motorcycle indoors all the time? Is there anything specific?
Well, that was a whole other animal, no pun intended. You broke every rule, and you wrote the handbook on how to ride a motorcycle indoors. I don't know how you got away with the things you did, but I think you just did it.
It was just management that understood. It was just good management that listened, and they wanted to make it a good show.
Yeah,
it really was. I think our biggest thing was making sure it didn't leak oil.
Yeah.
Well, on the court.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, Carl
these multi-million-dollar players slipping on your oil.
Yeah, but you know what? The bike was put together amazing, and the time that I had it was bulletproof.
So, did you do during the NBA finals, the 2 years that the Jazz played Chicago? Were you riding the bike during the finals?
Oh yeah, all over the place. Yeah.
And NBC must have freaked out.
Yeah, he'd make so much noise during and after the player introductions, and
it was great. But
it was really loud. That was one of his requirements. It had to have straight pipes, as loud as can be.
So the fast forward, I was addicted to one of the motorcycle shows with the family, the Tully or whatever their name is, that rebuilt the American Chopper.
Okay, yep.
Nice guys. We actually did a TV show with them down in Houston one time. And so you were way ahead of this. You could have been the American Chopper. You could have had a reality show all these years. Why did you choose not to? It was working with John enough for you?
Yeah, that was it. No.
Burned him out.
Yeah.
I actually had an incredible run of building custom motorcycles, and it evolved into OEM franchises. I then went on to become a Triumph, Indian, Suzuki, Sea-Doo Watercraft, and Honda. I evolved right through a lot of the big brands and had a wonderful career. I didn't stay in the Harley arena and pursue the custom stuff. I evolved into the franchise brands and like I said, had a wonderful career with that, 17-year career with that.
Fantastic.
And stayed friends with John the whole time.
Yep. Well, I can't believe he did it.
It's hard to do for 25 years.
I was going to say, a lot of people give it about a week and they're done with me, but he stayed 25 years.
Did you ever feel riding a bike on the street? Did you ever? So obviously you've caused a couple of accidents.
Yeah.
Were you ever scared for yourself riding? So you feel that?
Well, the thing that's funny is because I rode motorcycle when I was a kid on the farm, and believe it or not, the motorcycle that I had was an Indian motorcycle.
Really?
Yeah, I wish I still had it. It'd be worth money.
Yeah.
So
anyway, tell me how you've gotten into this charity.
Well, I've always been a thrill-seeking, adventurous. I've raced almost anything that has a motor. I've been involved in one way, shape, or form of racing, mechanics, sales, or service. Snowmobiles, watercraft, ATVs, dirt bikes, you name it. When my career in the motorsports industry concluded, my drinking escalated. As I alluded to earlier in this part of the conversation, those were my rough days. That I was drinking heavily, and I made it through. Most of my career, I was able to get up and function, but I was drinking very heavily. After I had this run in the motorsports business, I started drinking a lot, and when I finally was able to make the change in life that I needed to 3 years ago, I recently decided that exposing people that are trying to quit drinking to some of the things that I always loved and was passionate about that are an addiction, I came up with the concept of Adventures Anonymous. I want to take people, and as a supplement to their current treatment program, I want to teach them and give them the opportunity to learn anything and everything they want to know about snowmobiles, motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, be it learning how to ride them properly with skilled, I'm a certified instructor for the state of Utah for most of these things. I've gone through the instructor courses, so I can teach people how to ride and educate them on the product and divert their addiction to something that I believe is a little better to put your efforts into. Like I said, I'm not a treatment center. I'm a supplement to a treatment center to give you an alternate, another avenue, something else to try to.
So this could be very prophetic, getting a chance to meet Randall today.
Yes.
With Odyssey
Yeah, I
House.
didn't think about that. Yeah.
And Randall, to speak nicely about him, at Channel 4
You're
for
one
a
of the
number
few people who do.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Randall had a chance, even though you had a contract continuing to run for a long time to be on TV, chose to go work at Odyssey House because you feel it's much more fulfilling.
For me it is, and they graciously let me out of my contract. Although I figured they sort of had to, because if I would have publicized the fact that I'm a recovering alcoholic and I wanted to get out of my contract to work at a treatment center and they said no, it would have looked bad.
It might have,
but they were nice people and they understood. So yeah.
So in this situation,
and I understand what he's saying. I mean, you and I and Lee are in recovery, and that was an addiction, and it still is if we decided to partake. But we have addictive personalities. So what you're doing is channeling an addictive personality to something other than the substance that is harming them.
Yeah. And one of the things when a person does get sober or quit doing drugs, the idea that all your past memories, or maybe when you're imbibing, you look back at parties and fun. You think fun is only when you're using other substances, and that's not the case at all. And socialization and being around fun people, it's, in my case, your case, it's much more fun to do everything sober, and I know you feel the same way. But doing great stuff, on the other hand, makes it even better.
Yeah.
So how's your program work? I don't know.
Well, so I read the book, The 3-Day Effect, and there's something magical that happens after 3 days of being completely disconnected. I don't allow a single cell phone on my program. I change your diet. It's healthy. It's a vegan, plant-based diet for 3 days. I feed you really good, but I detox you. I teach you new skill sets, and we follow the AA style format program. I'm not going to cram that down anyone's throat, but that's how we conduct ourselves over the course of these 3 days that I'm with the participants.
So they're camping, a lot of times you'll be camping and out in the middle of nowhere.
We don't overly rough it, but yeah, a little bit. when you get on the airplane to head home, you're beat. But you don't. I'm not necessarily. You don't
I
necessarily.
didn't notice you flew your plane here today.
No.
Where are you taking people that they have to be in a plane?
No, the participants
Oh,
that come to us, some of the out-of-state people that come to us when I pick them up and run them through the program for 3 days. When I put them back on the plane, they're good and tuckered out. They
know they've spent some time.
They know they've spent some time. But how the program works, I just explained the core of it. It's 3 solid days of a new adventure. I have about 5 different adventures that I expose you to, hopefully through the survey that you did prior to coming to see me, things you haven't done before. We have an intensive 3-day program. Then after that's all, and it is free, by the way. It's entirely free. I am a 501c3, so I'm a nonprofit organization that each participant's first visit is free. After that, you can come back as often as you want for as long as you want, and it's a pay model. I am essentially a tour guide to a recovering alcoholic. You eat and live and function under the model that we run the business. So we do have a pay model, which really helps our charity become sustainable, even if our donations aren't coming in as strongly as we need them to be. So we do have a sustainable model there. Then part 3 of the program, which has not happened yet, but part 3 that I'm working on is participants can then come back to us and apprentice with us with prepping equipment and gear, co-guiding, being on our trips to help out, and ultimately earning a spot on our staff. I'm trying to build a staff of all people in recovery so that everyone gets it. They understand every step of what's happening with our process. So, and then the last and final step, if you did come aboard and you worked for us for a year or 2 or 3 or 5, you would have this incredible knowledge to go out into the world and be a mechanic in the industry, to be a salesman in the industry, to be a manufacturer's rep. I want to take people that are really struggling, that need a supplement to their current recovery, run them through our program, and get them back into the real world, doing something super energetic, exciting, fun, and addictive.
In the right way.
But not alcohol.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do. It's a new business. I started it a little over 90 days ago. Like I said, I've achieved 501c3 status. I've done all the legal, the compliance, the insurances. Website is almost done. It actually goes live here in just a couple of days.
And we'll have some video to show on there.
Yeah. So it's super, super exciting. I've got my first handful of trips under my belt, have phenomenal results with people, incredible feedback. And I honestly couldn't be more addicted to what I'm doing. Right?
Well,
That's awesome.
So I'd like to volunteer Randall. He has told me that he really feels that big mountain rappelling would be great. Free climbing.
We do that.
Free climbing he would love to do.
You'd be attached to a harness.
What's the face of the thing down in
El
Zion?
Capitan.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. God.
We do a 110-foot free hanging rappel, by the way.
Wow.
You can do it.
And it's an arch down way outside of Moab. Pretty hard to find, but it's...
Wow.
So when my days of rappelling, you go over the edge and you jump down a cliff where your feet always touch. And it gives you a feeling of a modicum of control. You're talking just...
We go through an opening, through an arch, that the alcove is so far cut out, you're free hanging. It's pretty incredible. It takes people's breath away and hopefully takes away their desire for booze too. I mean, that's all part of the program. So
that sounds pretty scary. What's your next scariest activity?
Well, we do motorcycles, UTV, which are side-by-sides, which that gets very exhilarating. We have stand-up jet skis in our fleet of equipment, and that's a lot of fun, especially...
Because now we've segued to the point where everyone's on a sit-down ski. The old days used to race on a stand-up.
It's exactly how we do it.
Yeah.
We kind of step back in time a little bit and
And
do
they're
things that are
a
a lot more exhilarating. Yeah.
What a great idea.
Yeah. So rock climbing, rappelling, whitewater river rafting, motorcycles, ATVs, snowmobiles, all those things that I just said. And we've got a lot of future offerings that we will include, but right now that's kind of our core. That's the equipment that we have. That's what we're skilled and trained to currently do and perform safely, very, very safely.
I'm thinking if I was doing something like that, one of two things would happen. I'd forget entirely about wanting to drink, or I'd say, I got to have a drink. I don't know.
But what we're going to do is we're going to patiently, slowly, and methodically train you and teach you how to do something so that you gain all the confidence in the world in yourself on that piece of equipment. And there is this thing happening, magically happening this whole time. Your neurotransmitters are so far from thinking about drinking or anything else. They're so focused on...
Because I'm scared out of my mind, but yeah, okay.
Well, our goal is not to scare you. Our goal is to educate you and train you. Educate you, train you, and replace.
So have you thought about doing something really adventurous, where you bring people in and they do a show with Randall?
Let's do it.
That'll scare them.
Scared straight.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant idea.
Thank you.
It's unique. Are there other programs like this? Or?
You know, I have Googled and searched and hunted high and low before launching this, and I can find stand-up paddleboarding, and I can even find a little bit of rock climbing and some kayaking and a few things, but nothing adventurous, nothing.
Yeah.
Just my goal is to replace your addiction with adrenaline. That is the bottom line.
That's fantastic.
We live in the adventure capital of the world. Utah is the most adventurous state ever. I can run my program 12 months out of the year. When it's cold up here, we can do winter sports. Then we can transition and finish in Moab doing sports down there, and vice versa. We can utilize the whole state 12 months out of the year, and I just truly believe with the offerings that this state has, the exposure and talent that I have as an instructor and a competitive participant in all these previous sports. I just know that I can go from one end of the state to the other with people from around the globe, truly around the globe, and help them with their recovery.
If I was in the TV business like Randall, I would think that this would be a fun thing to record. So I hope you have good video equipment and can get a chance to record.
It would be fun to see.
Yeah, it really would. And maybe there's something that could be done with Odyssey House.
Yeah, maybe we could.
Yeah, because...
I was thinking, that's why John never developed the taste for alcohol like the three of us, because his adrenaline was going all the time while he was playing bear. I mean, when you went down the stairs or riding the cycle in front of 20,000 people, you had adrenaline was flowing, wasn't it?
No, it really was. I mean, it is. It does. And he hit it right on the head. Is when you're in that mode and you've got the adrenaline going, I mean, that's what you're thinking of. It's kind of a focus. And you do get addicted because, I mean, we don't even have to air this one, but I was like, so this winter I was helping a guy back his car out because we had a big snowstorm and it was on Bangerter and 114th, and he was sideways in the road. And I drove around him, parked my truck, ran over. He was from Venezuela, and he didn't quite understand how to rock a car to get it out. So I was like, I'll do it for you. So I started rocking it, and I got it loose, and I waited, and I was watching cars go around me, and all of a sudden I looked, and I saw this car barreling in off of Bangerter doing 50. Her wheels turned like this.
Oh,
and she was flying right at me. And I remember I just grabbed the wheel and I looked straight forward and went, this can't be any worse than some of the demolition derbies I've been in. I still remember that exact line. And I got hit and I spun, smashed into the wall. And I remember sitting there and he ran over because he thought I was crying, but I was laughing. Because I was like, that was awesome. Because it was like this adrenaline that I hadn't had for months. And
you were bear withdrawal syndrome.
Oh, I'm having it bad. It's like, so anyway, I mean, but
the guy from Argentina must have loved it.
He
had a
I felt so bad for him, but
That's
I was
funny.
sitting there with the police officer and I was telling him about it, and I'm like, and it was awesome, and this, and he's looking at me like,
Are all Americans like this?
Yeah.
But I really do want to say that, I mean, how much respect I have for you guys, and the fact that, I mean, I'm listening to you guys' stories, and the fact that, I mean, there's a lot of people that have been down the path you guys went and never got themselves out. And the strength that it took for you guys to power out of that is, very respectable. And and very amazing. And I'm honored to be with all three of you guys. So.
Wow.
Well, you might not have been many years ago. You might have been embarrassed to be with us.
No, you know what? No, I mean, I'll tell you what. It's just, you guys found that way, and that's what counts. It doesn't matter what you guys did then; it's what you're doing now. And I just love the fact that you took a negative and look at the positive you're making. It's awesome.
Thanks, John.
Well,
It's awesome.
Burke, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
It was
you.
a great story.
So
Thank you.
next week for the both of you.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, we'll check with.
I'm getting
Yeah.
I'm getting a cold. I don't.
Yeah, because
Room, I'll go.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's a
listen,
standing
Barry, he'll
offer.
do anything.
It's a standing offer.
yeah, we know someone. The word "no" is not in his lexicon.
Yeah, John. Yeah.
No, there really was. I got a story for you on that one. So I went up to the Burke's cabin one year, and we were on snowmobiles. Do you remember this?
Absolutely.
And we're sitting out there, and there's this ravine that was, I mean, it was a good distance. And Burke looks over and he's like, "Hey, John, jump in with your snowmobile." And I was seriously like, "No." I was looking at it, I was like, "That's insane." I mean, it was a jump, and I was like, "There's no way I'll make it." And he did it, and he just was like, and he burned.
Did you know that you could? You just guessed.
Calculated.
And I remember sitting there just going, "He did it. It was awesome." But he just was like,
And you didn't follow after that.
I mean, I was kind of the chicken right there.
This is an exclusive. John, the guy who used to be the Jazz Bear, said no to something.
That is, and the word "no" is Nancy Reagan coined the phrase. Just say no.
Just say no, John.
John, as usual, great booking.
Hey,
thank you.
thank you very
Randall, you're the best.
Good to see
Burke,
you.
thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Want to thank Lee, our producer, director, and editor, for making this all happen.
Thank you, Lee.
We'll see you
Thanks,
next
Lee.
time. Take care.